Hello everyone, Cyndi Seidelman here. So if you remember last time we did a 26 weeks or less, we did a video on the Cover. And during that video I said the show really reminded me of Quicksilver. Well, I think it's time that I actually do talk about Quicksilver. And so here's me talking about Quicksilver, and here's the intro for Quicksilver. In June of 1994, USA Network decided to do two new original game shows for their game show block, something that they haven't done since the days of Bumpers Thumpers and the new Chain Reaction, both of them shot in Canada. They partnered up with Stone-Stanley and we got two shows. One of them was the horrendously undercooked free-for-all, which you could actually see as a written induction at the Game Show Garbage website. And the show we're talking about today is the mediocrity-fueled Quicksilver. So let's see how the temperature rises in this style of Quicksilver.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ron Maestri, and this is Quicksilver.
Quicksilver debuted on June 27, 1994 on the USA Network alongside its sister show, Free For All. Hosted by Ron Maestri, three contestants played a quiz game that involved questions with lots of twists and unintentional puns, where the winner played for a vacation and some cash. I wish there was more to say of that show besides that, but honestly that's essentially it. But that's never stopped me before, so let me spend about 6 to 7 minutes or so talking about Quicksilver. You know, looking back at Quicksilver, I mean, the show is fine, but I could also understand why a lot of people sometimes don't like Quicksilver. And I think one of those reasons is the host himself and also the announcer for the show, Ron Maestri.
We've got a fast-paced game ahead of us. It's all about questions and answers. But what makes this show different is that we give you the questions and the answers, and all you have to do is match them up.
If you haven't heard of Ron Maestri, you've seen him on TV. Whether he's been in the background of a lot of Blue Bloods episodes or watching various infomercials or those consumer cellular commercials, you've seen him. This isn't the first game show that Ron has done. He hosted Rock Quiz, which was a really short-lived rock and roll quizzer. I honestly don't have much info of the show or any video of the show, as all I could find on it online was an IMDb page and the show on Ron's SAG-AFTRA credits. As a host here, he's perfectly adequate. Sure, he's mellow, but he's honestly not given much to work with here, and that fits the tone of the show. He also gets points for me for being able to laugh at himself, as he requested that if screw-ups happened on his part, they get left in. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, then who will? When it comes to Ron Maestri, I remember many years ago that I was talking with our dear departed friend Jim Williams, and for some odd reason Ron Maestri's name came up. I'm assuming it's because he was on a bit of a rant about those consumer cellular commercials that Ron was in. Jim wanted to thank Ron for his service at QVC, and Ron was quite prickly about that, and Jim got a really bad vibe off of that. Can't understand why. I mean, it was heyday QVC, so that was Steve Bryant, Mike Rowe, so, you know, a lot of good people came out of there. I'm guessing Ron was having a bad day because somebody really took it to him when that Extreme Cheapskate show that his episode was on was airing. No, I am not showing the clip. I just ate. I don't want to throw up hearing that. Now it's time to talk about the set itself. It's small and a basic set. I once postulated a theory in the free-for-all induction that both Quicksilver and that show shared the same studio at the same time, and according to Randy West, it's true. I know Stone-Stanley at the time was running on a paper-thin budget for shows not named Legends of the Hidden Temple, but that's kind of ridiculous. You have the main monitor for the answers that are shown, the contestant area where the buzzers are, and the monitors for the scores, some background guff, and that is it. As a set, it does nothing for me, but for a minimalist show like Quicksilver, it's alright. The gameplay of the show is interesting for all of one round. In the first round, the three contestants are shown 4 possible answers. Ron reads off half of the question, takes a beat, and then reads the rest of the question. That's because the question is meant to mislead a contestant into taking a wrong answer, and the second half points them in the right direction. Each answer is worth 25 points, and after 3 questions, they move on to another set of 4 possible answers. This continues until time runs out. This round is a good way to get the players used to the game mechanics. It's a good round 1, and that's all I can say about that. Round 2 this time has 5 possible answers. Same style of questions as round 1, but this time after the correct answer has been gotten, it gets replaced with a new one, and each correct answer is worth 50 points. The new gimmick that gets added to this round is the namesake Quicksilver Answer. During the round, a question will be asked that isn't on the board of answers. If that shows up, the contestant must yell Quicksilver and then give the correct answer. If that happens, then the person earns 100 points and a prize if they are the first one to get a Quicksilver answer right. After that, they are offered a follow-up question and are asked how many points they are willing to wager up to 200. If they are right, they get the points. If they are wrong, they lose the points. This round is the equivalent to the Simpsons Malibu Stacy doll. It's the same gameplay as round 1, but with a slight tweak, i.e. when Malibu Stacy got a new hat. It could be doing a lot more than just rehashing round 1 in my opinion. Round 3 turns everything on its ear. Kind of. Ron reads off a question and the person with the correct answer gets 75 points and that answer goes on the board. It's straightforward, but at least provides something different than the overly twisty and pun-filled nature of the show. Once 8 answers are put on the board, then we get back to the twist-filled nature of round 2. Ron asks a twisty question, the contestants try to guess the right answer for 100 points. Also in this round are 2 possible Quicksilver answers. Once again, they have to say Quicksilver first and then give the right answer to earn 200 points and risk for up to 400. More often than not, I've seen contestants forget to say Quicksilver first, costing them the game. Whomever has the most points when time runs out wins the game and a prize. I like the twist in the first half of round 3, but the twist back to the same old thing now reminds me of Principal Skinner saying that instead of going to the box factory for the field trip, they're going to the box factory. The bonus game is called Silver Streak. Here, the champion is shown a board of 15 possible answers that all fit a certain category. They have to answer 10 questions in 45 seconds. Each correct answer is worth $50, while getting 10 right in 45 seconds adds a trip to the $500 they would have earned. Speed round version of round 3's second half is fine, and the trip is to the same places or trips around the same value that were given away on Shop to You Drop. So for a cable game show, it's not a bad deal. Before I wrap things out about why I think this show was short-lived, I do want to mention the taping cycle for this show. When this show was starting production, the original plan was to do 5 episodes of Quicksilver and 5 episodes of Free-for-All all on the same day. But Free-for-All was still in development hell, and Stone-Stanley was trying to come up with a decent format for it. To compensate for it, and not to waste studio time, they would tape 10 episodes of Quicksilver in one tape day. I'd imagine it had to be rough on the writers of the show having to do double the work in half the time, but it looked like it came off smooth on the screen. I also think the benefit of having the game board computerized rather than anything physical was a boon, as well as it brought prop costs to nil. Also, taping 10 episodes in a day isn't that unheard of for certain game shows. The 1989 version of Jackpot taped 10 to 15 episodes on given days because of the show's limited budget, and even then the distributor went bankrupt. Not only that, the 80s versions of Pyramid taped 10 a day, mainly because they had 2 concurrent versions going on in the $25,000 and $100,000 Pyramid, and that is not to mention Dick Clark's really brutal schedule during this time period, doing TV's bloopers and practical jokes and American Bandstand. So that is Quicksilver. It's an average show. A pure 5 out of 10 show. The hosts, the format, the music, the set. To me, it is the perfect baseline for a game show. And I use that baseline for game show garbage inductions. I ask myself this question when I see a show. Is it worse than Quicksilver? If it's not worse than Quicksilver, then it doesn't get brought up. If it is worse than Quicksilver, it's set up for a possibility of being inducted. So that's a little insight of my mind when I think of inductions for game show garbage. Is the format worse than Quicksilver? Is the host worse than Ron Maestri? Is the set worse than Quicksilver's set? So there you go. But the answer to the question, why was this short-lived? USA Network was going through a lot of changes in the mid-90s, and 1995 saw the end of the infamous game show block for USA. Quicksilver was part of the final game show block, where the final 4 shows remaining were Quicksilver, Pressure Luck, the $100,000 Pyramid, and Scrabble. It would end in around October of 1995. Honestly, if the game show block were still going after October of 1995, I would put dollars to donuts that Quicksilver would get a 65 or another 130 episode run. Meaning, we probably could have seen more Quicksilver. And possibly, maybe Shop Till You Drop moving from Lifetime to the USA Network because it got canceled in September of 1994. But, we'll never know, as we can't control the flow of time. And speaking of the flow of time, our time is up for this edition of 26 Weeks or Less. I thank everybody for watching. If you have a request for a show to feature on 26 Weeks or Less, leave a comment below. If you liked what you saw, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you want future videos a day before anybody else, become a Patreon backer at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. I'm Cyndi Seidelman, and see you next time. Bye bye! Essentially, what happened was, on the show, Ron was on Extreme Cheapskates about how cheap you live and what you do. And what happened was, he mentioned that he had 3 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. And blatantly said, and for the record, I don't wear underwear.
Yep. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.